Hey, this is Bruce, the team lead in charge of the Bike Index platform project. Within my well-diverse squad, we had our own personal and unfortunate experience with theft. On top of that, some of us have worked with organizations to counter organized crimes in the past. So when Brian, co-founder of Bike Index, approached us with his dilemma of handling the overwhelming amount of intel that he's aggregated on known thieves, we knew we would be the perfect team for the job. Our goal was to create a database that can hold all of the information that he's gathered over the years, be able to share this securely with his associates, and to create a speedy platform so that they could focus their attention on apprehending these lawbreakers. Here is a quick sneak peek at the intuitive site we have created. Welcome to Bike Index Platform. Here we have a multitude of functionality that would help capture those no-good evildoers. First and foremost, we can log in as a normal user. Here you can see with all the data this website contains, we have a handy dandy page navigation at the bottom of the screen. This is where we can quickly jump through multiple pages. Cheng, take it away with how we can add new thieves.
You can add a new thief entry by clicking this add button next to the search bar. In here, you can put the thief information like add the name of the thief or add a note for the thief. You can also add additional field. For example, if the thief uses a different name, you can add it by clicking the plus sign to add a different name for it. You are also able to upload your files to database. If you want to add a picture related to this thief, click the plus sign and choose the picture you want and add it. After you are done, click the submit button and the data will be in the database. Now, Matt will introduce more features to you.
Now, when we're back on the main search page, we can search up that thief again by entering in any of the data fields that were associated with them. So now we can see that thief has been added, and if we click on that row, it'll take us back to the thief edit page for them. So just as we added individual data items, we can remove individual data items by clicking the minus button. Now, if we click submit right now, just that data item would be removed. But if we click the clear all button, all of the data items and files associated with that thief will be removed from the database. So if we click submit now, that thief would be completely gone. And as you can see, we can try searching them up again, and they won't show up on the thief search. Now, if we go to the about page, this page displays stats that are about the database. These stats are useful to understand the size of the database and relate to the user base how effective the organization and the application is. Being a nonprofit, these stats are useful for Bike Index, so they'll be able to demonstrate to supporters how much information they've gathered on bike theft. This helps them procure more funding and ultimately apprehend more thieves. Now I'll hand it off to Cristian to demonstrate some of the administrator features available on the website.
Along with features offered to regular users, there are also many additional features only offered to application admins. So if you log in as an admin, one of the first differing features you'll see starts with the verbiage window at the top of the page, which is really an opportunity for you to add detailed descriptions about how the page works, how to use it, and in the event of feature downtime, you can let users know which features are purposely unavailable. And as part of the verbiage window, you can save changes, you can preview how it looks as a non-admin, and you can even disable the window altogether. Another admin feature is the user list, where if you want to edit any particular user, you can simply search for one of their details. And once you narrow it down to that user, you can click on the row where you will be met with all that user's information. So as an admin, you can edit a user's role. So if they're currently read-write, you can change them to read-only or to admin. And on top of that, you can change their approved status. So if it's a new user, you can approve their account or leave it as unapproved, and you can ban a user. So if there's somebody misbehaving or not using the application how they should, you can change that. And with that, I'll pass it to Emerson for history.
So admins have access to a history page. This shows all of the changes being made to the database. This includes who is making the changes, what they changed, when they changed it, what they changed it to, etc. Admins also have access to a data management page. This page gives the ability to upload a CSV file with bulk data into the database. They also have the option to export the entire database file if they needed it for whatever reason.
With all of these tools now at Bike Index's disposal, bike thieves will no longer have a chance.
The main features in the tool we created were a connection to Firebase to implement accounts and authorization functionality, a dynamic search that displays the search results in real time, an ability to import and export bulk data to and from CSV files, an instance of the tool hosted on Amazon servers, and of course, the meat and potatoes of editing and submitting the thief data to be tracked.
So now let's talk about what our goals for this project actually were and what we accomplished. Starting off, we knew our audience was Brian Hance and his associates. They own a website called Bike Index, which helps track bike serial numbers as well as other information to recover stolen items. His associates include local police and major retailers who have had to deal with bike theft, as well as other parties who Brian has come in contact with while trying to track and prevent bike theft. From many meetings and discussions, we've designed the website with the assumption that the users will be a smallish group of personally approved individuals. Brian has communicated that he will train individuals on best practices for data management before using the site. Because of this and the hand selection process, we can assume that the user base will not try to intentionally destroy or tamper with the data. While we accomplished a lot during this Capstone project, a few accomplishments stand out above the rest. Namely, we were able to effectively integrate third-party technologies into our application, we were able to plan efficiently and complete our goals on time, and we were able to develop a great search feature. For third-party integrations, when developing the site, we included many technologies to help us develop different features. This proved difficult at times, but after diligent research and development, we've integrated several technologies to make the website more useful and secure for our audience. The site would not have been possible if not for these third-party technologies. AWS hosts our front end and our back end, as well as our file storage, and Firebase provides reliable and secure authentication.
Achievements we made during the completion of the project include completing the project on time was huge for us, as we worked hard to make sure that we had time to finish everything. We also did quite well at planning out what we would work on in each sprint in order to balance workloads and not overlap on tasks. Finally, having a flexible, agile approach to the project allowed us to make quick changes in direction to suit our sponsors' needs.
We are proud of the final iteration of our search feature. This has evolved rapidly over the course of our development, and we are happy that it has become fast, robust, and visually appealing.
We had planned originally to also take on the development of a plugin that would use our API to analyze web content and give threat scores. People would use this plugin on e-commerce sites to assess the likelihood that a listing is fraudulent or stolen property. While the website can be accessed and used on mobile devices, we had planned to dedicate a sprint to developing a responsive layout and display. This would make the site more accessible to users who may need to use the application while they're out in the field. Further admin features would include a site configuration page where Brian could handle changing network configurations and control data backups. With an additional sprint, we would have had more time to develop CSS styling and include reactive JavaScript front-end content. Finally, as the project came to a close, we began thinking of ways we could integrate data analysis and neural networks to help consolidate information and match thieves to one another. Now, let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of the project and break down how we actually built the application.
To begin the how of our system, let's begin at the heart of our web architecture, which is an Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud instance, providing secure and scalable access to our Bike Index web application. First, the React client interface is accessed via web requests served through the Bike Index URL. The React client implements an interface for users and admins to interact with our Express API through Nginx, acting as a data access layer to both our Postgres database and AWS simple storage bucket. All this is fed through a remote repository found on GitHub, but a little more detail on this in a few moments. Here you can see a visual representation of our overall web system. The access flow begins with a web request at the bike index URL, which is then handled by the React client, where any actions triggered by the user are served down to the Express API via Nginx port configurations. Once at the API data access level, web requests are converted into Postgres database and S3 access operations to be executed and the result returned to the user in the UI. To quickly go over the main features and purpose of each component, we begin with the React.js client interface. This implements role-based access control and offers both thief and user listing tables with a dynamic search, along with data field operations for all their respective data items. Other features found in the client are import-export data management and dynamic page text content. Next, we have Nginx, whose purpose is simple in using default port configurations to serve all web content to the server API. The Express.js API handles all web routing coming from the client and implements a data access layer for both the Postgres database and S3 bucket, all moderated by users' role level. And to get to the final parts, and likely the most important of the system, we have two storage locations, one being a normalized Postgres relational database used to house all client managed data like thief and user information along with history logs. And in addition to the Amazon EC2, we have another AWS product, an S3 bucket, used as secondary storage for larger files and images. This essentially concludes the overall web architecture. Now we'll get into the development process.
Our development process follows the Agile methodology. We have 2-week sprints. We meet in person twice a week, and we have weekly stand-up where we can check in with our progress. Within our sprint cycle, we will initially discuss our previous sprint's feedback from our sponsor to prioritize our upcoming tests accordingly. At the end of the sprint, we review our new features within our team before deploying the code to the EC2 instance. We will then meet with the sponsor to demo our updated version of the code base. Keeping our process organized was key to making this work. By utilizing Discord, we were able to communicate outside of our scheduled meetings. Using a shared document, we were able to keep an accurate record of the current and upcoming features. Adapting to unexpected events is vital for a successful project. When we were not able to meet as a team in person, we held them online via Zoom when possible. As other outside responsibilities become a larger priority, we will alert the team in advance and agree on a modified sprint schedule where we will adjust the primary developer for feature. Bugs of varying severity will appear when we least expected it. First, we approach it via prevention. Having an extra set of eyes during pair programming helped catch them before they could become an issue. Secondly, code reviews before completing a pull request allow for more eyes scanning the code before it was pulled into our main branch. Lastly, we will hold additional meetings as a team to tackle if one were to slip through.
There were a few lessons we learned while working on this project. As CS students, we are accustomed to working on our own, but working on a team was a new challenge for us. This included having effective and supportive communication with teammates, as well as getting used to planning and synchronizing our changes to the code through source control. We also learned new workflows as we experimented with pair programming, pull requests, and using an agile workflow. We learned that time management is pretty hard, but it's a very useful thing to know how to do. Some advice I would give for future teams would be to double all of your time estimates, stay flexible to changes, and learn to keep an open mind.
It was imperative for me from the very start to handpick a team that could complement one another. but also independently have a strong understanding of the code base. Each member quickly grew into their own as they provided their unique and invaluable strengths that took this project farther than I would ever have dreamed of. Cheng, as a quick learner, you astounded me with your ability to implement new features effectively, even when you've had no prior experience in doing so. Cristian, as the architect with your strong expertise, you easily looked at this grand project from the big picture and was able to communicate with us the best way for it to be structured. Emerson, as the analyst, you made sure to critically think throughout our entire development as you had the incredible foresight to look for potential issues before they presented themselves. And as the locksmith, Matt, you made sure that everything we did was secure. Not only did you implement the authorization portions of the code everywhere, but you even locked down our ideas and thoughts throughout the countless meetings that we had. Throughout the development of the bike index threat platform, we have continuously shown what we have developed to Brian. Let's now see his thoughts on what we created as this project comes to a close.
So this is the bane of my existence, that I have some stupid fact that I'm holding on to that's in an email, and I'm in the middle of like another job, and a cop will call me up and he'll say, "Hey, I'm standing at this investigation. You remember that guy you told me about last week? I need blah 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 blah." He can just log into this damn thing and get it now. He doesn't have to bug me. He takes me out of the equation, and that is going to make my life so much easier. You guys have no idea. So I'm like extremely, and my voice is shot, so the excitement isn't coming through. But like this is the next wave of bike index basically. So I'm super excited. I'll lean extra close to the microphone. You were positively the best capstone group for this project. I think you were hands down. I think you guys. I don't think there was any other choice, to be honest. So the fact I got you guys was incredibly lucky, and it was an honor.
Thank you so much to Bruce 2.0 for not only giving us a chance to work with such an amazing sponsor, but for guiding us towards the finish line. And Brian, you were willing to meet with us at a moment's notice, day in and day out. Even when you were feeling under the weather, you dedicated so much of your time ensuring that we were successful. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to work with you and being a part of your dream. And finally, to my teammates. On top of our sleepless weekdays and weeknights where we worked together on our project, I enjoyed our breaks where we went on bubble tea outings, shared team victories, and ran through the fountains in downtown Portland. Thank you for placing so much trust in me throughout this entire project. You have all developed from being my peers to becoming my teammates and to finally being called my friends. Maseeh.